it's party time. Brains are on the menu, and tonight we dine. The living dead will be back. Oh yes, they shall return. One can of dry oxen can do it. Watch your city burn. Do you think this is a costume? No, it's a way of life. You can't stop the dead, not with a bullet or knife. Someone get some light over here, now and not then. Cause trash is back and trash is taking her revenge again. Michael Joy has a big hand in this resurrection. He talks it up and explains this whole new direction. From a killer with a driller to zombies doing homicide. This story has never been over. Wait, what you mean the movie's live? Send more clips. Send more clips. Send more clips.
Happy Halloween, boys and girls. We're on that spooky season and we got a spooky episode for you. This is In the Spotlight. I am John Horton.
And I am Kyle Pearson, and we have a special guest who is involved in not one, but two revitalizations. He's bringing back a couple of dead franchises, and we're going to learn about them today. Welcome, Michael Joy, to the program. Hello, Michael Joy. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? It's great to be with you guys.
So you've got two projects that I'm aware of anyway. Trash's Revenge from the Return of the Living Dead universe, and also Driller Killer 2, which we haven't. This is a sequel to a 1979 film. First of all, there's a lot going on with both of these, especially with Return of the Living Dead. So tell us what your involvement is with these films.
Absolutely. So basically, I'm a producer with Dragon Studios, run by Richard Driscoll. Dragon Studios is a UK company. I am in New Jersey in the United States, so I'm more or less the US half of Dragon Studios. Basically runs everything out of the UK. Trash's Revenge, basically the reboot of Return of the Living Dead, is already in production, already a couple days shot in Los Angeles. There is still going to be more of this movie shot over in the UK. And I mean, you know, if you've seen the headlines and you've seen the news, there's this constant battle between, these two Returning the Living Dead reboots, going head and head against each other, ours being one of them. So it's some crazy stuff, but I mean, hey, don't. And it's the fans are pushing all this stuff forward and they want to see it, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, we're definitely two of the fans.
Yeah.
I actually shot a couple minutes for the film. I'm one of your crowdfunders. So I did a remote scene and I bought your big media
Perfect.
package. They've got if you go to not Indiegogo, this is a different one. This is Cinebacker, correct? Is it Cinebacker?
Cinebacker, correct.
Yeah, Cinebacker.
So yeah, Cinebacker, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but yeah, Cinebacker is basically a platform being used for both these movies, both Trash's Revenge and Driller Killer 2. And yeah, the thing is, you know, the latest. I mean, I don't know, how much we want to get into it, but the our version of Return of the Living Dead reboot, we're bringing back all the originals, or well, most of the originals, and Linnea Quigley, heading up everything. She's one of the executive producers on this project, and she'll also have a role in the movie. But I mean, like, it's It's fantastic. The LA stuff was shot by Mitch Parks, which is a director out of LA. He does some great work. Richard Driscoll is going to be filming the stuff out of UK. Um, and basically, the kind of premise is, without giving too much away, is that the real life characters, um, of the 1980s cult movie Return of the Living Dead, um, all these years later, they kind of find themselves being sucked back into this, cult movie, and finding out that um, what a lot of what they thought was just a production ended up being something real and something that is, kind of feeding into our reality. So it's pretty neat.
Sounds pretty trippy. So all of the characters from the original one that are returning, they're actually coming back to this movie as Trash and Spider and uh, all
Well,
the
like,
characters.
so Linnea is coming back as Linnea. Beverly is
Okay.
coming back as Beverly. So they're coming back as their own
They're playing
persona,
themselves.
but as they play. Right, right, exactly.
Okay.
And then basically the Return of the Living Dead world is kind of spilling into their own reality.
Okay, so in Return of the Living Dead, they make reference to the fact that Night of the Living Dead really happened, but not in the way that you saw. So in this film, we're basically talking about Return of the Living Dead, but elements of that really happened, but not in the way that we saw
Yeah.
it, correct?
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So so the movie
I don't want
lied
to say,
is what you're saying. The movie lied.
I don't want to say too much, but
Okay.
I mean, like, just to give you a teaser, you know,
Okay.
I mean, that's like a little bit of a teaser what what you're looking to kind of get into. And yeah, I mean, the fact that, like, all these people signed on board to, to come, and be part of Trash's Revenge. I mean, it's a fantastic script. And it's gonna surprise a lot of people. I mean, because there's a lot of wow factors in this movie, and what they've shot already is, like, mind blowing. And then they got more stuff that is really going to be pretty outrageous that they're going to be filming over in the UK.
Now, how did this all come to be? We haven't Return of the Living Dead lasted for a while with its sequels, but then it just kind of stopped. I mean, you still had the merchandise out there, but as far as movies or any other kind of media, it just kind of coasted for a while with nothing. All of a sudden, now we've got two of them coming out from
I know.
different ends. So, who came up with this? How did it come about? Who contacted who? Lay it on us.
All
Yeah,
right. So
we're very curious about all this.
all right. So the other Returning the Living Dead movie, um I believe the gentleman's name is Steve Walsh.
That's what I've read. Yes.
Okay. So okay, so through it gets complicated, and there's some legal stuff involved here, as you've probably read. Um
Yes. Yeah. And that's the
but
thing. We weren't sure if you were able to talk about it, but we wanted to flesh it out as much as possible because we know that fans, I'm reading, fans online, and because there's two and they know about the lawsuit, and there's all these movie websites that put out a movie poster for a sequel that's never going to happen and it's just AI bots. People are confused. They're not
yeah,
sure if there really is a Trash's Revenge, if there really is this Christmas Return of the Living Dead. Is one fake? So if that could be hurting your crowdfunding campaign, if people think, oh no, this is a scam. And I know from shooting scene for it and being involved with the documentary, I know for a fact that Trash's Revenge is happening. I know a friend that actually shot a scene with Beverly. So I know this one is real. The other
Right.
one I couldn't speak to, but yeah, I know there's a lot of confusion. So yeah, we're really hoping that you can help make people understand what is going on with all of this.
So the Steve Walsh one, um, he had announced the project like I don't know, but it was something like 2 years ago maybe. And then he put an announcement out and then it just died. So everyone kind of thought, okay, he announced this thing 2 years ago and then nothing was happening with it. Well, in the meantime, Richard Driscoll at Dragon Studios, he wrote a script for Trash's Revenge, and he got in touch with, everyone from the original um, Return of the Living Dead project, because Steve, his version isn't centering around any of the original cast or anything like that. His is some kind of new creation,
Mhm.
but ours is paying homage to, the original cast and crew. So basically, while doing a little bit of research to get this off the ground, um, and you know what was found out by accident is that so Steve has this Return of the Living Dead website, I guess, where he has been selling merchandise um, for many years. I think T-shirts and other memorabilia and whatever. Um, and from from what I understand, um, from and Beverly Randolph has been integral in this whole process.
Mhm.
Um, that none of the um, original cast was getting any kind of royalties for all the years that the merchandise has been sold. So they came up with, I believe, the uh, Return of the Living Dead Originals LLC,
Mhm.
where they kind of all or part of that, which really has nothing to do with us. That's the LLC of the original cast and crew.
Mhm.
Um, that apparently they have this lawsuit against Steve Walsh for not getting royalties for, basically anything that was done. And then what was actually found out this morning was, I think, uh, they did facial recognition scans um, by oh, I don't know if I should mention the name of the person or not, but
Maybe
anyway,
not.
um, so from what I understand, they those facial recognition scans just showed up as new characters on the Steve Walsh front of things. So I heard Beverly is really pissed off about that. So it's even heating things up a little bit more. But the lawsuit basically um, they I, I guess I don't know. It's been delayed. I think Steve's camp is asking for more time. So I think the basically the court case I think has been delayed. I want to say for at least we're talking about like 2 more years. So I
Yeah,
mean, there's
that's what
really
I
two
heard. Yeah,
two more
September
years.
97.
Yeah, before anything really
Or
gets
not
resolved.
97, 27.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, September
But
27.
so I think it's like, before anything even gets resolved, I mean, they're going to have to wait until, this court date in 2 years from now. So, you
And
know,
so the movie can still both movies can still move forward
both are still moving
be-
forward,
because
you
you
know,
so I would think that would slow it down, but instead they can just try to race it.
I mean, at this point, with the court being delayed and everything, from what I know, Steve's moving ahead with his. I mean, because he just showed up at like one of the Comic-Con conventions with
Hmm.
the table promoting it, and well, I mean, we're fully under production, so I mean, we're moving ahead. So I mean, basically the fans will at some point in the near future, when everything is complete, probably ours before his, we'll probably have two Return of the Living Dead movies to choose from. So, you can say that as a good thing or a bad thing or indifferent, but I mean that's basically what the situation is. So, um,
Yeah, from a fan perspective, two movies is good.
yeah,
And one falls in line. I believe it says something about it takes place like 18 months or something after the first one. So that's going to be within the storyline. And then yours is kind of outside of the storyline and a whole nother take. So depending on
right.
which way you want to go.
So yeah,
Um,
there's two different ways to look at it. Ours is kind of outside the story, but with all the originals.
yeah, well,
You
yeah,
know,
you've got all the people that you loved from the first one.
right, right. So for fans of the characters and the actors, I mean that's Trash's Revenge. We're putting this out for the fans. You know what Steve's doing, I have no idea, but I mean that's neither here nor there. I mean, I'm sure he'll have his following too.
Yeah. And we should have had you both on, and you guys could fight on our
Yeah.
show. But here's where I just wonder how we got to this place because I know one of the comments that Steve had made, uh, which does make sense, is he said that just because you're in a movie doesn't give you the rights to the likenesses that they or the merchandise that comes out, which is true because like Star Wars, there was all that merchandise and stuff, and I don't know if Luke and Leia and everybody, but once you're in the project, I've
Right.
signed off my likeness and clothes that I own on movies. So technically, if I wear those clothes in a picture, I'm breaking a rule. Um, but at the same time, how did Steve Walsh get the rights to Return of the Living Dead at all? Now, I had heard that he was involved in Return of the Living Dead 4 and 5. Is that true?
Well, I don't know if that's true, but this is what I understand. So he had rights to produce Return of the Living Dead makeup merchandise. So within the realm of like Halloween makeup and that type of thing, I believe that was the rights that he had. Now, my understanding is he went beyond the rights that he had and started producing other merchandise which he didn't have the rights to. And that's where the
Okay.
whole lawsuit comes into play. Like he had, I guess, rights to partially make different things, but very specific things. Like specifically from what I understand, within the makeup realm, like Halloween makeup or something like that.
Okay. All right. Because I know that at least I believe he had originally sued them and lost his suit, and then they countersued.
Right.
And so yeah, it's a big mess that either is going to work out for everybody involved because we get two movies, or some people are going to get, royally screwed. But now that they're making the movie, Linnea and their team is making a movie with their likenesses, it seems like at the very least they would get them back. Yeah, I don't. I guess
It's
we'll find out in
complicated.
2 years from now.
This is so complicated and so very
Uh,
messy. I
yeah, I
my
know.
only Go ahead.
No, no, you're absolutely right. It's been messy from the start, and then it's apparently getting a little messy again. But I mean, it's the movie business, so I mean, I guess you got to take your lumps.
I just hope it doesn't go the route of Friday the 13th, where the fans suffer with nothing for years and years and years because of the disputes between creator and writer.
I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna come to that. I mean, we are confident, and the the Linnea, camp, and the Return of the Living, the originals, and the Dragon Studios. I mean, we're really all confident on our end that, like, um, we're basically doing everything right, and you know, basically with Steve basically going out of bounds, so um, you know, you know, I don't know what's going to happen to his movie, but I'm very confident that ours is going to go out without a hitch.
Because I
One
guess
of the things that I noticed too, not no, so much noticed, but with your guys' movie with Dragon Studios and Linnea's camp, there's stuff there. We've seen stuff. You guys have provided a plot line and a premise. Whereas the Steve Walsh camp, it feels like you've ordered a mystery box online and you have
Right.
no idea what you're getting because there's been nothing except that little trailer. At
Right. Well,
least that
and
I've
like I
seen.
said, you get taken into context. He originally announced this 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and then just it dropped, and there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, he's trying to breathe life into it because, he found out that, oh, someone else is trying to make a, Return of the Living Dead movie. Let me get back on this one. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, well, what it's going to be interesting because if they both come out and they both make money, and then the lawsuit goes through and says, okay, Steve or you for that matter, could go either way technically, um, doesn't have the rights, then does that mean that, like all the money that that film makes now has to go over to the other camp? So, if you guys are the ones with the rights and he doesn't, it could be a huge benefit for you if he releases it, I guess, because you might be able to profit from both films. I don't know. I've never heard of this happening since Octopussy and Never Say Never Again, when there was two James Bonds at the same time, and one of them brought
Yeah,
back Sean Connery, and the other one was still
right.
working with Roger Moore. And they both got released. They both made money, and
Yeah.
they both lived their happy lives. And it was
Yeah, I
just
mean, I never thought about it that way, but I mean, yeah, I guess you could kind of mirror the situation somewhat, and I guess, we're going to see what happens with the Steve movie, but I mean, as far as our movie goes, like I said, I'm very confident that we're taking the right road. We're traveling down the correct path, and we're making sure we do everything legally and by the letter. So we don't run into any kind of, like, oh, you don't have rights to do this or that. We're covered as far as that goes. So
I do want to see both. Yeah, I said as a fan, I would love to see both. I don't want to see anybody get taken for a ride. So if that's going to be the case, that does sour it. But I'm really pulling for yours,
Mm.
since I have an interest in it.
yeah,
So
well, yeah.
but yeah, Return of the Living Dead has been my all-time favorite horror movie. Since the first time I saw it, I was, just thrown by, it was so different from anything I'd seen horror-wise, and the comedy, and just my wife had never seen it, and I just showed it to her for the first time a few months ago, and she's sitting there like, oh no, it's not those split dogs, is it? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, and I said, see, this thing is so creative. There's so many little elements in this. And to see those same people coming back, that was one of the things I liked about the second one, is that we got a couple of the actors that got to return. And I'm like, well, where are the rest of them? Bring the whole crew back. So the fact that you got so many of them, the ones that are still with us, I think that's fantastic. So best of luck to you, regardless on how this works. And at this point, IMDb says it's coming out December 8th. Is that still feasible?
I don't think that's a correct date, honestly. I didn't even know IMDb had a date down for it, honestly. But no, I think it's going to be beyond that, because I mean we still have filming to do in the UK and everything. But I mean, I'll update you guys as soon as we do have a firm date.
Okay.
Um, but but yeah, I mean, what I do want to mention, is the platform. It's a Cinebacker platform, like like IMDb. I mean, not IMDb. Indiegogo is going through like a whole bunch of changes right now. You know, and the platform being used, Cinebacker, it's really like a platform run by filmmakers for filmmakers. It's really acts more of a producing partner for films, providing equipment, crew, production support. Um, so I mean that's basically uh, like a really, and the thing is, it's only accepting filmmakers that have had successful previous film campaigns. So not running into like, someone who's never done a film campaign before, we don't know if we're going to get our perks. We don't know, if the film's ever going to get made. With the platform Cinebacker, it's like you have to have that, they have to have films made. They have to have, you have to have run previous campaigns that have made money and, basically have a proven record. So, I mean, that's basically the benefit for Cinebacker, and I guess the reassurance to give, anyone backing projects through there that, it's really only taking, um, like confirmed filmmakers, with a solid history.
That is excellent because Indiegogo I have been burned on.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring this up, about Cinebacker, because, it's not just the Indiegogo create account, put any campaign out there, and then, either, it fail. Because I mean, Indiegogo, I mean, like, only a small percentage, I mean, see the light of day. And then like those other films that like, people can't get funded. I mean, we basically seen, time and time again, people put money out for perks. The film never gets made. Maybe they'll get a t-shirt out of the deal, but I mean, the film doesn't get made. And hey, some people don't even get any kind, like you said, you've been burned in the past. So, I mean, some people don't even get anything.
So
So,
with Return of the Living Dead, and I wanted to ask two questions I've got with your guys's. First off, you're filming in the States and in UK.
yes.
Are we going to have, is the movie going to portray it as one location, or is the zombie apocalypse going worldwide?
Um, it's going to be portrayed as
Well,
essentially
you
one
got to watch the
location.
film to find out, I think.
I mean, there's, a lot of reasons why we had to shoot in LA because, of a lot of the actors are basically based there and, don't want to travel out to the UK. So I mean, there's a lot of logistics there as far as like, why some stuff was filmed in LA, and then there's, a lot of stuff's going to be filmed in the UK for other reasons. Because well, Dragon Studios is a UK company, but I mean, we're basically going back and forth, and the same thing will happen with Driller Killer 2. There will be a LA and a UK element to the filming. So it's really like a combined effort between me in the United States, taking care of the US stuff, and Richard in the UK taking care of the UK stuff.
And one of the elements I want to add is the fact that on the Cinebacker, if one of the things you wanted to do was act in the film, there is an opportunity, at least there was, probably not now, for somebody to go to LA or
Right,
to UK. So depending on,
exactly.
whichever country you're in or closest to, you could take that opportunity. Um,
Right. That's
so
a very
that's
big that's a very big part of it because I mean, yeah, with people who want to get involved in the film and actually want to, be there, in front of the camera or behind the camera, um, we're giving two countries the opportunity, because we're filming in two areas. And then with Driller Killer 2, we're going to add New York into the mix. So we're going to basically have, filming in New York, LA, and UK.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And you've got a lot of perks on there. Like one of the ones that, like I said, I got is this media thing. It's got posters and soundtracks and the movies for both the original and the Trash's Revenge, and autographs, memorabilia. It's this huge package of stuff,
Yeah.
and it gives me a chance to upgrade the stuff I already have and get some cool new stuff. So there's a lot of different choices and options out there. So yeah, if you're interested at all in Return of the Living Dead, whether or not you want to be in Trash's Revenge, because some of the prices are high. If they're not going to just let you in this movie for $1.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to be a zombie, it's going to cost you something. But there are a lot of different levels of stuff that you can get merchandise wise that is very, very awesome. And I had to do some finagling with my wife in order to make this one happen because I've done a lot of these, but nothing to the level that I did Trash's Revenge. And I said, honey, this is my favorite horror movie. All the actors are coming back. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And she caved, and I got to be a part of it. So thank you for that opportunity. I personally appreciate that.
Oh,
John had a
absolutely.
second question, and I interrupted. I apologize, John.
Oh, it's
No,
quite
no.
all right. Second question I have for Return of the Living Dead is practical effects versus CGI. Do you know what you're looking at? It's going to be CGI heavy, practical effects, or what are we looking
Both,
at?
both. Yeah, I mean, like the LA stuff. Like I don't know if you've seen any, but I mean, like all the LA stuff, the stuff we put out, heavy on practical effects. The you know, people that signed up to be the zombies, and you know, the the makeup, the that some of these zombies looked like like out of this world, but I mean it was all practical. It looked amazing. But I mean, like anything else, I mean there has to be like a certain marriage, I think, between CGI and practical, but I hate CGI forward films. I'm an 80s guy, I mean, I'm, you know, loved 80s films, Return of the Living Dead and all that, but everything was practical effects, so I mean, that's where I'm coming from. I miss the days of going to your local mom and pop video store, and picking a VHS tape off of the shelf and just discovering new horror movies like each and every weekend. I mean, like, that was living life for me. And all of us too. I mean, we, kind of, if you grew up in that time, I mean, like, you know, lived and breathed by discovering horror films on, the shelf of your, video store, and then, you know, basically this is how, like, I think a lot of us discovered all this stuff. And, it kind of like was embedded into us. And, um, you know, it's why we're all doing horror stuff right now is because, we're so invested in, the history of it, and, to try to, you know, be able to bring history back. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do is, bring back the love for Return of the Living Dead, bring back a little bit of love for Driller Killer. And then there's more after that too that we haven't even mentioned.
I'll go ahead and mention it.
Yeah, we won't tell.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be quiet
Well,
about it. Shush.
all
No,
right.
no, go ahead,
All right,
please.
just okay, just between us.
Okay.
All right, well, I better not. But listen,
Oh,
good stuff. It's good stuff. So I'll say this, okay? Okay, so the third project is going to be announced in maybe a month, probably about a month or so. Um, So it's going to be Trash's Revenge. It's going to be Driller Killer, and they're both, Driller Killer is going to be start filming, by the end of the year. Trash's Revenge is going to continue to film, but we're going to announce a third one. And I will say, just to be on the same line as Return of the Living Dead and Driller Killer, the third one will also be something that is beloved from that time period, that is coming back and is getting a reboot from Dragon Studios. Um,
Really?
so it's going to be, um, dare I say,
What if,
dare I
okay.
say, it's going to be probably just as interesting and just at the same level as Return of the Living Dead as far as interest goes. But I can't say much more.
Really?
But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. When I found out, Richard wouldn't tell me. He was like, I got something I'm working on. I got something I'm working on. Finally, he told me, and it's like it blew my mind. So it's gonna be cool when we actually are able to put it out there and bring it to the public and tell everyone. It's gonna be like a big wow. Like they're doing this. So it'll be cool.
Part of me wants to right now just have you say it, and we will delay the release of this until the day you tell us to put it up there, because we would
I can't.
love
I know, I
to.
know, I know. It's a big tease, but it's going to be a good one. So, I mean, we got them lined up. We got them lined up. Dragon Studios, um, you know, their, um, their um, their whole concept really is, um, using intellectual property, and pushing it forward, bringing stuff back from, the heyday, stuff from the 70s and 80s and trust me, a lot of this stuff, has really been a work in progress for years, not just months, but years, trying to get things, all the pieces in place. But yeah, I mean, finally at this point, we were able to kind of, you know, launch with, you know, Trash's Revenge and followed up by the announcement of Jericho 2 and in a couple months, maybe a month, the announcement of this next project. So, all this stuff has been, in the works. It's not just like, oh, we're just gonna do this. This is stuff that's been thoroughly planned out.
So what can you tell us about Driller Killer 2? I personally was shocked to hear the announcement that someone was doing a sequel to this movie. I'm like, what? Driller Killer?
Yeah. Um, so again, I will say that I believe, um, some of the people involved in it, um, we have Eric Roberts, who
Nice.
is going to be involved in it. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Beverly, Randolph is going to be part of the Driller Killer as well.
Nice.
So hopping from Trash's Revenge over to Driller. So those two are going to be, a big part of Driller Killer 2. Um, the actual storyline, um, it's again, it's going to, take place, not like, a couple months later, a couple years later. It's basically going to take place, many years into the future, and you're going to, kind of find out the history of what happened, all, where everything went all these years and how things are getting restarted. I can't really talk about the premise, too much right now, but I mean, it's gonna, for those interested in that franchise and the whole like Driller Killer, because it didn't have its, you know the Return of the Living Dead kind of, fan base, but I mean, it's a kind of lower tier horror movie from that time period. But I mean, there were fans that fondly remember it and are kind of into it. So I mean, we liked it, and it's something that we thought that, um, you know, we can we can bring this back, and we can give it a fresh coat of paint, and with some of the what was it made? I think like in like 79 or 80.
Yeah,
So
79. Yes.
so
Yep.
I mean, like, now here we are like 40 years later, if or more. Um, I mean, we can do a lot more with that movie than they were able to do with, back like 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. So yeah, I mean, we think we can do it justice, and we got some names attached, and the uh I believe we have the campaign on Cinebacker on pre-launch right now, and it will go full launch in the coming weeks. I don't have an exact date for you.
I know there's, a lot of people always question when there's going to be a sequel or a reboot or a remake. The thing that I like about them, if for no other reason, is it brings attention back to the originals. For
Oh yeah,
people who haven't, seen Driller Killer or may have seen Night of the Living Dead, at a, drive-in reshowing, but hadn't seen Return of the Living Dead, say, okay, you have to check these out. And it does, it gives people a whole new look. And even when they do a remake, I
yeah,
know I don't need to see the original because it's not connected, but I usually eventually go back and see the original when the new one comes out just to compare. So it does. It might be a movie that is in the back of my mind and I just don't hit play on it for a long time. And then, that's what kind of revitalizes my interest. And I'm sure it does for a lot of other people. So if nothing else, you're bringing attention back to the originals. And I looked it up. Driller Killer is available on Tubi, so you can, if you haven't seen the original, you can check that out for free on Tubi right now.
yeah. I mean, and I recommend everyone does, and you kind of get yourself ready for this new one. I mean, and that's the thing, that's what I love about it. Um, As exactly what you said is it shines light on the originals, and it opens up the door for like a whole new generation to discover these movies that we grew up with, I mean that's part of it. um Now another thing I do want to mention is, along with being producer, the United States end of these films. um another whole aspect of it is, I have my own marketing company that has basically tied into Dragon Studios, called Marketing Macabre. It's a
Mm.
marketing company based around promoting horror films, old and new sometimes, and basically, um, the campaigns and the launch of the film and everything, you know, we are fully tied in, with these built-in marketing campaigns. We have tight associations with various websites, like horrornews.net, the UK's Horror Asylum, the UK's Horror Screams Video Vault. So, basically we have partnerships with all these horror websites, who, are, basically, you know, getting exclusives to put this out, and making sure fans see the first looks, and making sure we're getting the teasers out there, and then the production photos. When we did the LA shoot, day one of the LA shoot, a couple days later, we had those photos spread out throughout the horror media, and then when we did the second shoot in LA, those group of photos, we had the horror media pick up on that, and that was spread all throughout, sites like Rue Morgue and Bloody Disgusting, and Horror Society and Horror Fuel, and a lot of others.
How does I'm sorry, Marketing Macabre, is there a social media presence online that fans can hook up with?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Well, marketingmacabre.com is the website, so you can check that out. On Facebook, there is a Marketing Macabre group. So I think if you just go on Facebook and type in Marketing Macabre, you'll probably find the group. And then basically everything from media is posted on the Marketing Macabre group. So I mean, you'll see links from all different horror websites populate on that group.
Are you also involved at all with the Return of the Living Dead video game or a documentary for the 40th anniversary? Because I know that those are also being worked on at the same time. Are you involved with either of those?
Well, yeah, basically Dragon Studios is simultaneously putting together the video game and there's a Trash's Revenge video game element, and then there's the movie. So if that's what you're talking about, we
Yes,
do have a
yes.
video game and the movie that's basically being done simultaneously. So, through the Cinebacker campaign, I believe there are perks that are directly related to the video game.
Yeah, that's where my wife cut me off. I I wanted my face on a character, and she said, "Nope, nope. I've gone as far as I'm going to let you go." And I was like, "Oh." So, but yeah, so you got that, and there's a documentary surrounding the 40th anniversary. Do you know when that would be coming out? Maybe that one was the one that's supposed to be coming out at Christmas time.
Again, I don't have solid dates, release dates on anything at the moment. So um, again, I can't really speak on that yet. But as soon as I have a solid date, you guys will be the first to know, and we'll definitely put out announcements and everything saying that it's done, ready to go, and here's your first chance to see it.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, are
I'm
there,
even more excited now. I
yeah.
really am. I was pumped and excited for it originally. I'm super excited for Trash's Revenge and then Driller Killer 2. I was never a big fan of the original, but the minute I heard part two, I'm like, woo. Same thing. There's a movie. I don't know if you remember Toolbox Murders.
Oh, I love Toolbox Murders. I
I,
did not like the reboot. I love the original. I didn't like the reboot.
I'm the exact opposite. I didn't really care for the original, but and if someone would have said, "Let's go watch this movie," I would have been like, "No." But then I seen a reboot, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh boy, I'm excited about it."
I mean, you love it, you hate it. I mean, there's no right answer, but I mean, it's all about preference. I mean, I really like the original. It's corny, it's goofy, but I mean, I liked it.
Yeah,
The remake didn't sit with me, but I mean, that's okay.
yeah.
Everyone doesn't have to like everything. I mean, the Fog was on TV the other day. And I was like the original Fog, but oh my God, I can't watch the remake of that movie. It's horrible.
So yeah, I think we've talked about the fog maybe two or three times in the
Yeah.
last couple of years on here about the battle between the original and the remake. Um, and I'm like that way with Night of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead. I like them both, but Return of the Living Dead, I just like, the speed of the zombies and the fact that they could actually talk, and you couldn't just shoot them in the head and that was it. They were indestructible. And so yeah, my preference leans one way while other people prefer the more historical zombies. But yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's got that's why you go on Tubi and there's 5 million horror movies, because not everybody agrees on the same thing, but there's something there for everybody. And
Well, Return of the Living Dead, it just when that movie came out, I mean, that just made zombies fun. I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah.
before it was like, yeah, okay, it's a zombie movie, and it's like, okay, they're, walking and like looking for like some brains or something. But I mean, this was just everything about that movie was just fun. It was just like, it was a party,
it
and
was,
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
and I mean that's the thing, we want to bring the party back. We want
Yeah.
to bring the party back in a big way, and we're doing the best we can to make that happen.
And I understand it's also being scored by the same person that scored the original. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
we contacted all the originals we could get our hands on to be part of this.
Man, that is fantastic because I mean, from the moment that movie starts until the moment of the big climactic end, it's just nonstop. It's either you're laughing,
Yeah,
you're terrified, you're laughing and terrified at the same time. It is such a good mix of horror and comedy, and it
yeah,
makes you
absolutely.
think. There's a reason for what's going on. It's not just dead people walking around. They need to eat, and now you know why. And it's just every time I see it, it's not just I enjoy watching it. I think each time I watch it, I get more impressed by how creative and genius it is in each of these different little elements. You're like, well, this is setting up this, and this, you don't even think about this until later, and you're like, okay, who would have thought of having, the little flapping butterflies? And I mean, there are so many little elements that just if Trash's Revenge is a fraction as good as Return of the Living Dead, we're in for a treat.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's all we want, That's all we want. We want to just we want to pay homage to the fun of the original, and I think we're gonna capture it. I mean, I think when you talk about like horror, I mean, you got to have that fun element sometimes, and in the eight like the top two, I mean, that I would say were really fun horror movies for me was like Evil Dead 2 and Return of the Living Dead during like the 80s, because I
mhm.
mean they both brought this element of just like over the top outrageous like fun. And yeah, I mean that's kind of why we're all in all here to have a little bit of fun with horror.
Now, if you can get Bruce Campbell into a Return of the Living Dead movie,
That would be something.
oh my God. Oh
That would
my
be
God.
that would be something.
That thing is going to break some records. So, well, is there anything else that you can tell us about with in regards to these two films or any other thing that you might have working on that you can get away with? We would love to hear it. Um, if oh, what did you say the
Well,
title? What did you say the title of that third one was again? I forgot.
I will send a teaser image to go along with this that you can post, and
Ooh.
then
Oh my
let
God.
the image speak for itself, and then figure it out.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
All right? How's
Okay.
that?
That sounds good. So at
All
the
I
right.
think
very end of
Kyle's
this video, teaser image.
I
Oh
Right.
my
think
God.
Kyle's ready to get the interview over so he
Yeah,
can
we're
get his hands
done.
on
We're
that
wrapping it
image.
up. We're wrapping it up. Well, thank you so much. This
Hey,
has
man.
been a very educational interview because these are questions that John and I have been going over ever since we revitalized this show. Because this show had died 34 years ago when we were in high
Okay.
school, and then we brought it back a couple years ago, and are having a lot of fun with it. But I think one of the very first episodes we were talking about Trash's Revenge. And then that trailer came out for the other one. And we're
Yep.
talking about, I'm like, I don't think this is the same movie. I don't, so we started looking it up and we were confused and fans were confused. And so ever since that came out, I'm like, you know what? We need to get somebody on this show that actually knows what's going on. So thank you so much for coming on, clearing up all the confusion. And you have just got us more excited for an end of an episode of anything
Hey,
we've done.
it was fun. I'm glad I could hang out with you guys for a little bit. It was a good time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we'd love to have
absolutely.
you back, man. When we got
Oh, you
to
know what? I'll come back when I have some more news, and then we can talk about that third one a little bit more.
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank
All
you so
right,
much
man.
for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. For In the Spotlight, I'm Kyle Pearson.
And I'm John Horton, and we're saying
Enjoy.
goodnight to Michael Joy. Thank you again so much for being here. It has been an awesome time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the graphic.
Bam.
spooky.